Can you just take us through your decision to stick with the Guardians?
Yeah, it was obviously a mutual decision and a lot of trust on both ends. Just all encompassing. There's a lot of intangibles that come with sticking in Cleveland, and the people and the process and the relationships that developed and nurtured over the last 6, 7, 8 years are really impressive and hard to leave behind. So I was happy to get that call and to come to an agreement.
Shane, how much of a factor specifically was it to stick with this medical team and then also this pitching department?
It was definitely a factor that I considered and weighed heavily. First and foremost, I'm regardless, and I was confident in my rehab. I'm very confident with where I'm at right now, and I'm going to continue to be confident progressing and moving forward. And that's because I've taken ownership in my own rehabilitation and everything that comes along with that. With that being said, I kind of touched on is the relationships, the development staff, the coaching staff, my teammates, having continuity and familiarity in those realms, I feel like can prove beneficial not only to me but my family and everybody really involved. And so that was big for me to feel confident in my rehab where I'm at right now. But nobody knows me as well as Cleveland does, and vice versa. So I'm happy to be continuing with them.
Shane, where are you in your throwing program?
I'm at 90 feet, 2 sets, 25. I'm feeling really good. I feel like I transitioned from the Goodyear facility, which was Cleveland based, obviously, over to Keith Coker's spot in Tempe post World Series, and they made that transition extremely very easy for me, and I was happy to transition over to Coker's spot. And he and his staff have taken great care of me, and like I said, the transition was extremely smooth, and that's in large part due to Cleveland staff and how well they communicate, but also Keith and his staff over in Tempe. And so I haven't missed a beat, and very excited to continue moving forward.
How many days a week are you throwing?
3. Yeah, it's Keith Meister, my surgeon. He's doing, unfortunately, too many Tommy Johns right now, but he's well versed in not only the surgery but the rehabilitation and the throwing program afterwards. So we're pretty much following it step by step and feeling good along the way.
Yes. When it comes to Corbin Burns, he is the only remaining ace on the market. There are a lot of teams that are after him. The Orioles seem to be one of them. He said that
Shane, it sounds like you had a lot of other offers. What were you? Was there a time when you may have, were leaning toward another team besides Cleveland?
Yeah, I was weighing everything with. I know Orioles fans. You got to look at everything as a realistic possibility, and had plenty of great meetings and beneficial and progressive meetings with other ball clubs. Everybody handled everything first class all the way, and I've got great things to say about plenty of other organizations. But like I said, ultimately, Cleveland made the call, and I was happy to receive it and come to terms. And so I'm happy with where I'm at. My family's ecstatic. It was clearly, very clearly, the right decision for not only myself, but my family, and we're excited to continue it.
Very interesting history with the Rule 5 draft.
Hey, Shane, when you had that press conference kind of immediately after the injury, you got pretty emotional there at the ballpark. Did you think that you would be back in Cleveland?
At that point, I don't know. It probably hadn't set in at that point. Over the last few months, I've definitely digested, take away the last week, but leading up until last week, digested everything. And, I think I was hopeful because I think it's obvious as an athlete and going through an injury, sticking with ball club personnel, training staff, medical staff, strength staff, coaching staff, teammates. Like I said, my focus throughout this free agency process was what is going to allow me and provide me the opportunity to pitch the best I possibly can in the back half of 2025, and how can I improve off of that going into the 2026 and so on. And so, it was difficult to kind of digest, and you could play this what if game all day long and all season long, but for me, I just tried to dive into my rehab, and there were times where I thought maybe I wouldn't be back here, but you ultimately just try and shut that down and focus on what you can control. And I'm proud of myself looking back on the way I was able to do that and continue to progress forward, like I said, through my rehab, to put me in a good spot to take this call right here and tell you guys genuinely that I'm doing well, and I'm excited for the 2025 season.
Hey, Shane, we spoke out in LA in September, and you talked then about connecting with Matt Boyd, and just how much did what he was able to accomplish in his return, and the way that the Guardians sort of cared for him and got him through that, did that factor in at all, or did whatever your conversations with Matt have any bearing on your decision to come back?
Yeah, I was able to have plenty of productive conversations with Matt. I really, really enjoyed getting to know him during his short tenure here in Cleveland. Obviously, we've competed against each other for quite some time, and we'll continue to do that. And I'm very excited. I'm very happy for him and his opportunity that he's getting in Chicago. We're due for a phone call here to catch up. But in a sense, that's kind of the landscape that I'm looking at for 2025. I hope to be back a little bit sooner because my surgery date was a little bit prior to his. And so they took extremely good care of him. No surprise there. Like I said, I've gotten familiar with the staff and the care that they give and provide players over the last 8 years. And I know I haven't experienced anything else, but just talking to former teammates, I think it's second to none. So, they kind of laid the framework there with Matt. I'm excited to be able to follow suit.
Shane, you were around the guys a bunch last year during the regular season and the postseason, but was there some kind of bittersweetness to it, in that you were, I'm sure excited that they were having the success that they were, but then knowing that you really didn't get a chance to contribute the way you wanted to?
Yeah, sure. I think most athletes will tell you that. Bittersweet, I don't know about that. Call it what you want, but I just wish I was out there contributing. Ultimately, that's what it boiled down to. That's what my emotions boiled down to. And I was able to compartmentalize because, those are some of my great friends out there, and they're having their postseason moments and regular season moments for that matter. And what a great group. What a fun group. I was just happy to be along for the ride, try and provide input where I could. Everybody was very receptive to, whatever tidbits of advice I may have offered up, whether they latched onto them or not, I don't know, but they were very receptive, and I appreciated that. So it was a good group, and we know that the sky's the limit for this group moving forward, and I'm happy to contribute down the stretch this year.
Shane, Chris talked about how when you were in Arizona, you were also kind of spending time with the younger pitchers. I don't know if some of the guys that had just signed or were also rehabbing. What was that experience like, and what was it like kind of watching this team from a distance? I know you got to be there a little bit in the postseason. How did you watch the Guardians in 2024? And then what was the experience in Arizona with some of those other guys back there?
Yeah, I was definitely watching from a different lens, a different view. Thinking more about pitching changes and coaching decisions. I don't envy those decision makers. I'll tell you that much. And it's a very, high stress situation and high stress job. But yeah, I was definitely watching from a different lens, and I tried to do the lion's share of my rehab here in Arizona. And, I was trying to make a trip at least once a month and see the guys, whether it was in Cleveland or on the road. And, just to contribute as much as I possibly could, both at the major league level, but also down in the rehab level in the minor leagues. And so got to meet a ton of cool guys. I'm happy to continue those relationships, continue to nurture them, and offer up any insight wherever I can. But yeah, ultimately, that's what I tried to do when I got down to Arizona. It was a different field, definitely not one that I was expecting, but whatever situation you find yourself in, I wanted to dive into it all the way. And, I like to look back and think that I was able to do that. And I look forward to continuing to do that.
Shane, what's the anticipation like to get back into playing? Like, how is this different than any other offseason of just having that itch now of how long you've had to be out?
Yeah, it's different. It's hard. It's difficult. I think for me, the way I boil it down and try to keep it as simple as possible is I will continue to push. I always want 5 more throws, 1 more set, whatever it may be. But I'm thankful when I lay my head on the pillow at night that I've surrounded myself with people that can pull. I think that's a good relationship to have as an athlete. You want to stretch the timetable or push the timetable and get back as soon as possible. But ultimately, the people with the degrees and the smarts and the experience in this field of rehabilitation, they know what's best for you. And so they've done a great job at keeping me at bay and keeping my expectations at bay. And so, I'll continue to push, and in the areas that they let me, I'll be very grateful for that. But ultimately the goal is to, contribute down the stretch in 2025 and put us in a position to win a World Series. So I'm excited for that.
And you had mentioned your relationship with Matt Boyd. He was one of the guys that right from the jump just talked about the clubhouse environment and the chemistry and just how welcoming everybody was. How have you seen just in the past year with Stephen Vogt that chemistry really develop, and how much did that factor in? I know wanting to stay in a place where you're familiar, just what's being built here around Vogt.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, I guess it's, I was prepared for anything, but it's one less thing to think about. Having already such outstanding relationships with the guys in the clubhouse, with you guys, with the coaching staff, the training staff, but it's nice to see Voter get recognized for all the hard work that he put in this year and the success that he had with his, Manager of the Year award. And, hopefully we can go out there and do it again for him. But he did tremendous all year this year. And it's pretty crazy to think that was his first time doing it. And so, like I said, I was watching from a different lens this year and maybe just working through some pinch hit situations or relief pitching situations. And I don't envy those decisions and those decision makers one bit. So they've done a fantastic job. They're in the right position for a reason.
Shane, I know
Hey, do you have anything in your mind when you want to be back? I mean, any signpost, in the future when you think you'll be ready to pitch?
You want me to give you a date right now, Hoynes?
Well, no. If you got one, no.
Nah. I mean, like I said, I'm pushing. I feel great. I haven't skipped a beat. When I ask for a date, they don't even give me a date. So, there's a long way to go. And I, as hard as it is, I just try and take it one day at a time. When we get time, that's what I'm doing right now, and continue to progress through my throwing progression. And I think as long as I do that, I'll be in a good spot.
Shane, I know it was just a few outings in spring and obviously in the regular season before the injury, but did you feel like for the success you were having and how well you were throwing the ball there, that there's something specific you could take from that that you were maybe building off of, obviously with the whole rehab thing factored in, but was there something you learned in those early parts of the season before the injury that you're looking forward to kind of building off of?
Yeah, great question. I did make some adjustments last offseason. I felt great. And I thought I was past my previous elbow injury. Ultimately, I figure I kind of had a failing ligament and had to address it surgically. But I did make some adjustments that got me to a spot where I was having fun competing again, reading swings and borderline, getting a little too confident with my sequences and having fun with it, like I said. introducing new shapes and new sequences for that matter. And so, as hard as that made it, the early success in spring training and those first few outings, as hard as that made it to go down, it's also helped me just, I'm excited to get back out there. I know when I get back out there, I'm going to return to form extremely quickly, and I'm going to have fun doing it. And so it's provided a lot of perspective, and it was a hard season this year for me and my family, but it was a great one. We're, like you guys probably heard, we're expecting a baby, and it was a season full of growth, and I'm very excited to continue that into 2025.
Hey, Shane, one more before we get going. I don't know if you heard Tom Hamilton won the Ford C. Frick Award. He's going to be recognized in Cooperstown during Hall of Fame weekend. Just you've been around Hammy for a while. What makes him a Hall of Famer?
Is he going to get to give a speech?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I can't wait to hear it. I'm sure it'll be a phenomenal speech. But yeah, he's incredible. He's been a mainstay, obviously, through my time in Cleveland and through a lot longer than that. And so he's always been phenomenal, both in the booth and in the clubhouse. Whenever I get to run into him, it's an absolute pleasure, and not just myself, but my wife, my family. He's offers everybody time, and fantastic conversation. I seriously can't say enough good things about Hammy, what he provides, the organization, but also the city of Cleveland. So it's nice to see him get some well-deserved recognition.